When will we meet again? The first time Ava met Eli, it was in the quiet corner of a train station in Vienna. Snow fluttered around them like tiny whispers of fate. She was lost literally and metaphorically, and he offered her a cup of coffee and a map. That simple act felt like the universe brushing her hand with his. They spent 3 days together, wandering the city as if time had folded just for them. They talked about everything: books, fears, dreams, and heartbreaks. On the last night, standing beneath the glowing lights of Schönbrunn Palace, Eli took her hand and whispered, "If fate is real, we'll meet again. I won't say goodbye, just until then." Ava returned to London, and life resumed grey, busy, and loud. She looked for him in every train station, every stranger with a soft smile and kind eyes. Years passed, and still, his memory danced behind every closing door. 5 years later, while visiting a bookstore in Florence, she reached for a novel on the top shelf. Another hand reached for the same book. Their fingers touched. She turned. It was Eli. Same warm eyes, slightly older, a little more worn. "I was just thinking about you," he said, as if no time had passed. Ava laughed, her eyes misting. "Took you long enough," he smiled. "I told you I wouldn't say goodbye." Then, 5 years later, in Florence, she ducked into a little bookstore tucked between alleys. The bell above the door jingled. The smell of old pages welcomed her like an embrace. She wandered between the shelves, running her fingers along spines. A worn copy of The Little Prince caught her eye, his favorite book. She reached for it. So did someone else. Their hands touched. She froze. Her breath hitched. And then she looked up. Eli. Older, a little more worn, but the same eyes. The same smile. "I was just thinking about you," he said, voice a little breathless. She laughed through the tears that threatened to fall. "Took you long enough." He stepped closer, his hand still resting over hers. "I told you I wouldn't say goodbye." This time, neither of them let go. The snow in Vienna. The train station in Vienna was quiet that morning. The kind of quiet that presses against your skin and reminds you of every thought you haven't said aloud. Snow spiraled gently from the sky, blanketing the glass roof of the Westbahnhof in a soft white film, muting even the sounds of trains. Ava stood near platform 6, clutching the strap of her bag like it was an anchor. Her cheeks were flushed from the cold, her breath rising in little clouds. The world around her felt foreign, beautiful, but strange. The signs were in a language she couldn't read. Her phone had died an hour ago, and her charger was safely zipped into the suitcase. She'd accidentally checked into the wrong hotel. She laughed under her breath. Of course this would happen. "Are you lost?" The voice startled her, warm, deep, smooth like dark chocolate. She turned quickly and saw a man standing just to her left. Tall, maybe late 20s. His hair was dark and slightly tousled, his scarf wrapped loosely around his neck, and his coat looked far more prepared for the weather than hers. And his eyes. Good God, his eyes! They were hazel, but not the kind you forget. They had golden flecks near the pupils, like the last kiss of sunlight on the edge of autumn. And the way he looked at her, it wasn't curious. It was familiar. "I am," she admitted, smiling despite herself. Impressively so. He offered her a paper cup. "Start with this." She hesitated, then accepted the coffee. It was warm and bitter and perfect. "I'm Eli," he said, extending a gloved hand. "Ava," she replied. "Thanks for saving me from freezing to death with a side of public embarrassment." "Well," Eli said with a grin, "a girl looking that sad in a beautiful city like Vienna, that's almost criminal." They walked together for hours that day. Eli knew the city like it was written into his soul. He took her through cobbled streets lit by golden lanterns, past bakeries with the smell of cinnamon and honey, through churches where sound felt too sacred to speak. At the Christmas market, he bought her roasted chestnuts and pointed out. They talked about everything. She'd just walked away from an engagement she'd ended 3 weeks before. A marketing job that had drained her, and a version of herself she no longer wanted to be. He listened quietly, without judgment. "You did the brave thing," he said gently, as they sat on the steps of a silent cathedral. She looked at him, surprised. "It doesn't feel brave." "Bravery never does in the moment," he said. "It feels like falling without a parachute. But the ground teaches you to fly."